And we're all about receipts, right? And one of the reasons why I actually turned conservative, Shawn, I was just standing on the curb and I got pelted by rocks. And I started bleeding and I was bruised. And I couldn't say a single thing because I'm Asian. And the people perpetrating the crime were Black Americans. And I would be labeled as a racist if I said anything.
That's why you turned Republican?
I mean, it wasn't like I didn't decide the next day I would be Republican, but just so you know, I do want to pull up that the Republican Party is the only group of people who are willing to admit that there's Black on Asian crime. You're not allowed to say that as a Democrat. Because in the Democratic Party, they would label me, the victim, as the person at fault, and the perpetrator as the victim of some imagined grievance, someone in need of a reparation or whatever.
So I just seen this video. I was cutting my hair. You know, you watching the YouTube video to just play another video randomly, like automatically, whatever. So I'm sitting there cutting my hair in the bathroom. I'll be always takes me a while to cut my hair. So this video comes on Shawn Ryan podcast. I think I had seen this dude before. Maybe he was on TV or something before. I don't know. But anyway, he has a YouTube channel, podcast. So he's interviewing this lady named Lindi Li. And ironically, she's from my area. And I think I seen this chick before. Actually, she says she used to work in Wawa. And Wawas are not really everywhere except like the Philadelphia, Lehigh Valley area in Pennsylvania. Anyway, so she was working inside the Biden campaign. She was an insider in the Biden campaign. She was the one that was leaking all this info about Biden's mental capacity on decline, all the stuff we've been hearing about Biden over the past year. This is the chick that was leaking all the info from the Biden campaign, leaking it to the news and stuff like that. She was going on about corruption and how much money they was stealing and naming names. Obama's the person that really was running, like all this stuff. Some of the stuff she was saying I was like feeling like it was making sense, but I did notice right away that he was asking her questions that she was running away from, like little stuff. She would like kind of give side answers, but she wouldn't answer them directly. Like she said, she was an intern at 13 years old for some Congress dude in Pennsylvania around her. And when he asked her how did she get involved, like she was just evasive on certain questions and manipulative, like little sneaky type stuff. She didn't give straight. Anyway, she went on to talk about all this stuff for like a whole hour or two straight. How the Harris campaign was giving Roland Martin and them money, and Al Sharpton and Beyonce, all this stuff, all this corruption. Hunter Biden with the cocaine, and his other daughter was doing coke too. All this stuff, mad stuff. And at the end of the goddamn interview, she got the nerve to put, because I was giving her like a little bit of props to. I'm like, even though she seemed a little shady, I was like, some of the stuff she was saying, I could definitely see how it was making sense. At the last minute of this interview, she got the nerve to creep into the conversation some BS about Black Americans and this Black American Asian hate type of thing. Because he asked her, he was like, what made her switch from Republican to Democrat? She sat there and all this corruption she told us about, all this 2-3 hour or two straight. But then one of the reasons why I switched over to Republican was because I was in Philadelphia. She lives in Philadelphia. She said Black American teens threw rocks at her face or something like that. And only the Republicans will admit that there's a black American on Asian. First of all, how do you know they was Black American? First of all, because she pulled out a receipt. The receipt she pulled out to prove that this happened was a text message that she sent to her friend, telling her friend what happened. First of all, that's not even proof. But you could have made it. And I don't even got to get into why that's not proof that something happened. Ain't no goddamn police report. Nobody got arrested. The proof she offered was that she sent her friend a text telling her about the situation. which is not no goddamn. And so it wasn't a police report. Nobody was arrested. How do you know they was Black Americans specifically? Then she went in to say something about some reparations, something about all not people needing reparations as the victim. This thing was crazy. She's this chick here is still obviously working for somebody. She's a traitor inside. She's a traitor already from her party. You know what I'm saying? So that just discredited everything she already just sat here and said for an hour or two straight. I couldn't believe I sat this, and I'm glad I did. You know what I'm saying? Listen to it, but after all that stuff, she got there and sat there and goddamn it said she at the last minute she got the nerve to throw in because Black people, Black teens threw some goddamn rocks at her face or something. And that was, and even he said he tried to even clean it up for her because he knew it. He was like, so, what else would have made you mention this, you mention that, you mention this, like trying to throw her a lifeline because he knew himself that sounded goddamn ridiculous for her to come out and that's the reason you turned to Republican from Democrat after all the stuff you just said, all the corruption, all the money being missing, all the agendas, all the donors and shit. None of that made you want to switch. It was because at the end you're going to sit here and say Black teens in Philadelphia threw pebbles at your face. And then the proof she offered for this to happen was just ridiculous. She's read off a text or something she sent to somebody telling them what happened. Which, this thing, I seen this, man, and I'm glad I watched that whole thing because for a second, like I said, I was like kind of giving her props a little bit, like even though because in the beginning she was saying she was a intern or volunteer for some campaign or something at 13, and that sounded kind of weird because he asked her at first, he was like, well, how'd you get involved in this at 13? She went off with some whole other story, saying some whole other stuff that didn't really even have nothing to do with the question he asked her. So right then and there, I already kind of was like, this chick is a little deceitful because she just jumping around, and instead of answering the question he asked her, she offering some other stuff to try to spin it and make it, you know what I'm saying? So, but I couldn't believe this, man. I really couldn't believe this.